The regular meeting of the Board of Education of the Perry Local School District is called to order at 5:45 p.m. in the Tarbuck Center Conference Room. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Foley,
Here.
Mr. Leidick. Here. Mr. Roberts is not here. Mrs. Trusker.
Here.
Mr. Welch. Here.
Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
committee reports. Just there's an update on the athletic handbook that will.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I missed the name. Thank you. for
Yes,
filling in.
you're welcome, Mark. Give a brief update on that, the governmental affairs meeting, I think. Last meeting. Okay,
It went much quicker without me there, I heard.
it was, yes. It was reduced by 30 minutes. So administrative updates.
To show I can be brief, Madam President, last week was on our administrative retreat and to kick off the 23-24 school year and had I think a really nice time getting to know each other and building some capacity. It's going to be interesting. We have some folks playing in some new roles and some very different personalities that I think is going to serve our district really well. So it was a really nice time and I think all in all very successful. As we look back at last year, I think the biggest piece that we thought was rewarding was the fact that we got back to business. And the kids and the teachers really got to engage the way that we may have been taking that for granted in the past. And we certainly did not do that last year. And I think that was one of the takeaways from last year and set us off for this year to really get down to business and then focus on some academics and get after it. And so we're very excited to get started. And that's going to happen very soon, August 15th. Convocation and the PD days start for our certified staff. August 17th begins school. August 17th, high schoolers coming in strong, and then we got the phase in schedules at the elementary and middle school. And then that night, the biggest bonfire in Lake County happens, where it'll be interesting to see what they put on top of the pile this year. So we look forward to that and off we go. That concludes my administrative report.
Thank you. Any public participation, Gina? I don't see any. All right, moving on, consent agenda. So there a motion to approve letter B.
Second.
Any discussion? Questions? Roll call, please.
Mr. Leidick.
Yes.
Mrs. Trusker.
Yes.
Mr. Welch. Here. Mrs. Foley.
Yes. Dr. Thompson. Superintendent's report.
Thank you. As always, we have personnel approval appointment for classified. The board is asked to approve the stipend noted for the employee listed as recommended by the local superintendent and director of transportation. Approval appointment independent study. The board is asked to approve the employment of the individual listed for the summer independent study supplemental position and rate of pay indicated for the 2023 school year as recommended by the local superintendent and building principal. Approval appointment summer curriculum hours. The board is asked to approve the employment of the individual listed to complete the 2023 summer curriculum work at the rate of pay and for the maximum number of hours indicated as recommended by the local superintendent and assistant superintendent. And approval of teacher leaders. The board is asked to approve the employment of the individuals listed below for the supplemental committee position indicated for the 2023-24 school year as recommended by the local superintendent and assistant superintendent. Obviously, if they were to complete all the assigned duties shall result in a prorated or cancellation of pay. Personnel approval appointment 23-24 athletic supplemental. The board is asked to approve the employment of the individuals listed for the summer and 2023-24 athletic supplemental positions and rate of pay indicated pending successful completion of required employment paperwork certification training and background check as recommended by the local superintendent and athletic director. And approval of the 23-24 student athletic handbooks. The board is asked to approve the 23-24 student athletic handbook as recommended by the local superintendent and directors. And athletic director, transportation director, and building principals. No, recommended by the local superintendent and athletic director. Approval of out-of-state professional development. Michigan, the board is asked to approve the out-of-state travel for Terry Owens to attend an Inland Seas Educational Association training workshop in Sutton Bay, Michigan, August 7th through 12th, as recommended by the local superintendent and building principal. And H, early dismissal for conferences, 23-24. The board is asked to approve early dismissal for students as noted to the 23-24 parent-teacher conferences as recommended by the local superintendent and building principal. Lunch will not be served on this day for students. And I, approval of board policy first reading. The board is asked to consider the following revised board policy as a first reading for the future as recommended by the local superintendent. Draft is available for review. In this policy, the recommendation is just to delete it to be aligned with the way we handle class rank in our district and have been for the last couple of years. J, approval of revised EEV. The board is asked to approve the updated exempt employees benefits as recommended by the local superintendent and chief financial officer. K, contracts and agreements, Paramount School Solutions. The board is asked to authorize the superintendent to enter into an agreement with Paramount School Solutions for human resources and physical services effective September 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2026, as recommended by the local superintendent. And this includes my superintendent's report.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Real quick discussion, just to be clear, because we made a big change, is the handbook is now one handbook, all combined into one. And there's gonna be some tweaking, I think, on that, especially like the personnel that are listed under district administrators.
Yes,
Like Lisa shared.
yes, we'll make those corrections. And again,
There's a few other things just here and there.
and as it states in the handbook, you're giving us the authority to make those changes throughout the year without board action. And we'll do everything we can to make sure you're informed on any of those changes we make from going forward. But we'll continue to try to refine and revise and get that in as concise as a document as possible.
And just as part of the report from the athletic handbook side of it, because we had the athletic council meeting and it was discussed at length in the meeting. We did make a modification to the penalties for, I think it was basically anything they do wrong, any suspension, because the reasoning behind it was to make it, instead of doing a suspension, now they have the option to participate in community service to reduce the number of games suspended. And the thought behind that was because we really want the kids to stay involved, and the behavior should be, we don't want to punish kids. We want this to be a deterrent for them. We don't want them to misbehave in the first place or do these things in the first place. But the consequences should be appropriate to the infraction. Of
And I
whatever
believe
it
that's
is.
only as a first offense.
It's
correct?
only the first
Right,
offense,
so they-
yes.
Yeah.
So they can reduce it, but it's gonna be something that's like relatable to what they did. Did I explain that good enough, Todd, or do you have
Yes.
anything to add?
Yes, and when we typed it out, it wasn't clear for each different type of infraction what the actual consequence was. There was very specific action on the alcohol, drug, possession, use of. The other stuff was a little bit more vague, so we've been able to provide clarity, and those consequences are somewhat in line based on the event that took place. So, but the big change is the opportunity to complete community service to reduce the amount of games, loss of privileges to play, at the approval of the athletic director. So you can't go like, do community service for
Yeah,
a relative. It's gotta be a little
something
bit more
real.
legit and approved.
And it's the thought too, is like, if you have kids engaging in some risky behaviors, like you don't want to send them out and just be done with them. Like you want to, make some real consequences, but also keep them close.
Yeah, I really appreciate that.
So safe to assume these are going to be cleaned up,
Yes,
spelling errors, like grammatical, things like that, or any little tweaking that needs to be done.
yeah, we'll make sure that's communicated.
Okay, so none of these are posted right now anywhere anyways.
Correct.
Any other discussion before we do roll call? on any of the things we're approving in the superintendent's report?
I mean, I brought up to, Bob the other day about the early dismissal for elementary school and middle school for the, conferences. And I was asking him, you know, what number of people in that time frame, let's say from like 3 o'clock. You know, how many people are using, you know, in between that, but in between the time when they're dismissed and 3 o'clock, or whenever the conferences start. You know, how many people are really utilizing that? And he said a lot of people do Zoom. And I said, and that's fine. But we were talking about, well, I mean, it's just another, I mean, you're getting out at 11:45. You know, instead of a little bit later, you know, I mean, it's not a huge amount of time, so instead of sending the kids home potentially. Because people can just utilize Zoom if they choose to, they can even do it from their porch or their deck in the evening. So why not try and maybe keep the kids in school instead of just getting them out all these days, if it really isn't being used a ton. So he was gonna look into that, you know, for next year or something, and obviously, elementary's here, so.
I can tell you that I use those times, and so I can see like when I sign up for each grade level, because I have one in every building, like of like how full it is, and they are full. Like when I go to sign up for them, they're not full. And we have parents that work nights that, you know, for me personally, like I have active kids, our night times, it would be very difficult for me to get in the evening time. So I think that those do serve a purpose, and I think there are a good amount of people that actually use them. And I know, like, you know, kids sending kids home and whatever, but really they're just missing like, it's a couple hours, not a full day.
Right, and they're only there for a few hours.
Right.
So I know it's kind of difficult sometimes for parents who have the, you know, 2 working parents or something like that too. Okay, well, we're sending them for only like 2 or 3 hours, right? 3 hours, 4 hours, or however long they're there for. And then we gotta get them back home, or we gotta make sure someone's there for them. I know that's tough at times for some. And I know that some people do the conferences even just, you know, on the phone in the car instead of Zoom, because they are busy with other things, in the evenings, like most of us are. So he just wanted to look at the numbers, because if it's not a huge thing, then. I mean, I don't see, I mean, and if something needs to be done earlier, I'm sure the teacher would be willing to do it earlier if there's not a huge demand for it.
We can certainly provide data. I know, you know, I've not necessarily looked at the data, but at the elementary, the word I get is they're packed.
They are.
I think
Sign into the registration.
Yeah, sure, but at the school, it may fade off, and the secondary is probably a little
We
less.
just do 4 to 8 o'clock because there's not the same demand.
Yeah, I just think when, I mean, I look at the number of conferences I have to have. And I'm not alone, like in middle school, I mean, how many teachers does each kid have in middle school? And then I've got 2 in middle school now, 1 in the elementary school that's got more than 1 teacher, and then 1 in, you know, so like some people, like, in order to get all of them in, you have to start early, or else you're gonna be going until 9 or 10 at night.
I just couldn't remember if we started earlier before, like if it was at 4 or 3. I knew the high school was 4. I didn't know if middle school and elementary school started at 3 or 3:30 or 4 previously before all this started.
Before COVID, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, they've always had early ones, because I've always gone.
Oh, well, okay, I must be going way back then, because it must have started a while ago. We never had them 20 years ago.
Yeah.
You know, it was always 4 to 8 or 4 to 9, however
Yeah,
long it took. So I was just questioned, he said there was some, he didn't think there was a ton, but he was gonna look into it for middle school.
Is that a contractual issue? Because isn't that part of the contract?
So, yeah, there are those days in the contract.
There's a comp day for parents conferences, because they go into the night, so there's. Yeah. The day before Thanksgiving. Yeah.
So if there weren't conferences during the day and they were only offered in the evening. There
They
would
still
then be
have, they
another
still have
day.
comp time.
That's when I'm
And
asking.
they still, yeah, so depending on how much time was required to meet those needs. You have to make the comp adjustments.
So is the concern that it's like, sending kids to school half a day and trying to find childcare for the other half? of the day?
Yeah,
Is that the concern?
That's what I've heard, but I mean, I know it works. I know everyone has different schedules.
Yeah.
So Riverside, what they do is they do the comps in 3 or maybe 4 after school evenings, and they get 2 comp days.
They have 2 whole days off.
Yes. Because they do. Because you can't get all the conferences done in just a couple hours. It'll take almost a full day which is why they pick up the half day during the day and the evening. But everything's negotiable, it's just a matter of.
Yeah. That's it.
Okay. Hold on, sorry, back to them. Then that would be a roll call. vote.
Mrs. Truster.
Yes.
Mr. Welch.
Yep.
Mrs. Foley.
Yes,
Mr. Lake.
Yes.
yes. And then scrolling. Addendum, yeah. Mhm. Oh, consent agenda. Just. So, there's a clickable thing here, but it's not. IT, it's just not loading, so I can't see it. Okay. I think if it's what we already saw in the,
Yes, it's what you got Friday in the board
yeah,
update.
it's the removal of some inventory that's obsolete. Correct?
Yes,
Thank you. And then letter B, the donation, so a motion to approve. I'm trying to understand, we have donations and then a removal all in the same section. We're doing A is the disposal, correct? That's the IT list only?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Motion to approve from A and B.
So moved.
Second.
Now, hold up. Of course,
and let me just note that the delay on getting those items, those obsolete items on it is that Darcy was on vacation. And I wanted to have a conversation with her to kind of go through all the different items. Verify that none of those old Chromebooks had any salvage value. They're going to they've already parted out. We've had them for any number of years that we've been Chromebooks, all the pieces and parts we've been putting together. Some of the old projectors, some of the old Prometheus boards, there's different tabs on that spreadsheet. So everything has been parted out that can be, there's nothing that's salvageable that we could give to students or anything else that would be needed. And at the end, when we turn this all over to this company, we get a certificate that all the software that we own or have purchased is wiped clean from those devices. We get a certificate and they're disposed of properly. That was kind of what the conversation Darcy was.
okay, good, thank you for that explanation. So did I get a motion to approve A and B?
Yes,
And we just discussed it?
Yep.
And now we're gonna roll call,
Mrs. Foley,
yes.
Mr. Leidig.
Yes.
Mrs. Truster.
Yes.
Mr. Welch.
Dr. Thompson, superintendent's report on the
Okay.
addendum.
Thank you. We have an acceptance of a resignation, which we need to get done right away. The board is asked to accept the resignation of the employee listed from the position indicated as recommended by the local superintendent, director of transportation. We have an approval and appointment to another teacher leader. The board is asked to approve the employment of the individual listed below for a supplemental committee position indicated for the 23-24 school year. As recommended by the local superintendent and assistant superintendent, and we have some substitutes. The board is asked to approve the individuals listed for 23-24 daily substitute position as recommended by the local superintendent and assistant superintendent. And that concludes my addendum report.
Motion to approve,
So moved.
Second.
any discussion? Other than addendums are no longer allowed.
No more addendums. Mark it.
Good. Roll call, please.
Mr. Leidig,
Yes.
Mrs. Truster,
Yes.
Mr. Welch,
Yes.
Mrs. Foley.
Yes. And we're back to Mr. Gallant, as we do have a report here
You.
on the regular agenda.
First item I have is approval of financial reports. The board is asked to approve the financial reports from June 2023 as recommended by the Chief Financial Officer. Contracts and agreements to Toshiba. The board is asked to review the maintenance agreement with Toshiba for district printers as recommended by the Chief Financial Officer and Director of Information Technology. And these are the hallway printers that go throughout the building for the not the copiers, but the printers. Approval of MOU with Lake Erie College. The board is asked to approve an agreement with Lake Erie College to establish a career pathway to viable employment in vocational trades, providing pathways for college credit professional certification for the 23-24 CCIP students as recommended by the local superintendent and assistant superintendent. And those are the items I have. Thank you.
Motion to approve,
Second.
discussion, questions on.
Yeah, I just want to note on the financials, this is the June financials end of year. So we did finish the cash balance, about $500,000 higher than we had anticipated for the year, so that, again, positive cash flow. With the new budget that helped us substantially, we're gonna see, positive cash flow for next year, as well as we're hoping for 25 as well. Right now, it's a slight deficit, but we don't have any retirements projected, so the budget was helpful to us. Interest rates have been very good. We don't have debt, we have cash for the interest, so that's helpful. And then we had a lot of retirements that we didn't replace. We had over 40 people over the last 16 months who have turned over, so we've been able to save a lot of money on replacing persons, or not replacing them through attrition, but replacing persons at lower point on the pay scale. So that's contributing to our pushing some of this deficit spending out. So we're in good financial shape. The next person.
Thank you for that tidbit. That would lead us to a roll call. There's no other questions or discussion.
Mrs. Tretzker,
Yes.
Mr. Welch,
Yes.
Mrs. Foley,
Yes.
Mr. Laydick.
Yes.
Anyone have any unfinished business? New business, the only thing that I have for new business, unless someone else wants to go first.
I have something I just thought about today, so sorry. But I was.
This is really new. This is-
I just wanted to bring it to everyone's attention, like, and so we can start thinking about if we want to do something about it, but that eclipse is happening in April. During dismissal time, like right during dismissal time. So I don't know that that's a good idea if we have buses and cars running. I know you guys probably talked about it already, but just to maybe start to think about a plan.
Yeah, and you know, me and plans, I like to see what other people are doing first.
Sure, just get on the radar so we know like that's, we don't really want the kids on buses during the darkness.
We've been talking about that, actually Fairport put in for a grant to purchase the necessary equipment and glasses to allow everyone to walk out and look up without hurting their eyes. I don't know if I want to be there for that, you know, or be around and be responsible for that. But it is a question, you know, I'm not sure what the.
For other schools, I think have already canceled, and I think the bigger issue is
I'm
people coming to the area to see it.
yeah,
There's gonna be supposedly
Supposedly. it's
Increased
supposed to be a huge.
traffic
tourist
and
yeah.
increased people,
Uptake, oh, yeah.
yeah.
My concern is just like from a safety standpoint of we're gonna dismiss our kids and it's going to turn pitch black out and people are gonna be looking up and not where they're driving and.
So.
Walking to a bus stop. and
Right.
sidewalk.
So one option may be as we get down a little closer, as a potential calamity day, I guess, right?
I was thinking of a watch party with sunglasses as a fundraiser for someone.
I was thinking extended school day, like.
Actually, we extended it.
No,
Paramount Solutions, liability insurance would cover that, I'm sure.
It only lasts for like,
It's only a few minutes,
it's only a
but
few minutes. but
it's just
right
the
at-
fact of, it's right into dismissal time and there's gonna be kids walking and kids driving and it's gonna turn black and I just don't know if it's a safety thing.
We used to go out and watch it.
Sure, I mean, I'm sure they will, but like
That's why
it
we're all wearing
it says
gloves.
3 o'clock, so you have elementary and, or elementary still be in, but middle and high school be out.
What time is it?
It's 3
2,
o'clock.
3.
wonderful. Maybe that should be. the
Yeah, it's
early
right in the
release
middle of
date.
dismissal
That
time.
could be the early release date.
You're gonna play baseball under the lights that day
Yeah. at 3
For a
o'clock in the
minute.
afternoon.
for a minute.
Probably
Yeah,
snowing.
I think it's great that we start talking about, look at some options.
Yeah.
But I think, you know, everyone's gonna be talking about it.
Sure.
It's gonna be on everybody's mind, so it's, you know, so if we continue to discuss and look at some of the options and based on what we get to know is. Maybe we make the decision that's right, extend the day, you know. keep
And it's a
kids in,
learning experience.
Or, you know,
Teachable moment.
Reschedule PD day.
we schedule PD day for that.
We just shift the school day and
It's
have
the
them come in
Monday
at 10
after
and leave at
Easter
4.
Monday.
What was it
know.
really?
Yeah, so the Monday before that.
Did I hear it's the
April 1st
Indians
off.
home opener too?
Yes,
Is it really?
Yes.
Yeah.
That sounds like a
What
disaster.
day is it?
April 8th.
Oh, yeah.
It's a
we-
Monday.
That's right. We go way too early.
That's right, so
Yeah,
short.
yeah.
It'll probably be snowing, so.
Like-
Yeah,
Could
it's
be.
gonna snow, yeah.
Yeah, it'd probably be like,
It could be a regular
Wouldn't be able to
calamity
see
day
it.
anyway.
Right.
Yeah, it'll be cloudy. won't be able to see.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, just something to put on the radar.
Yeah.
We should advance sell those items, those glasses.
You just start buying them now.
Let's start
I'm
building.
saying advance sell, so for that.
Yeah.
There was a similar event, not a completely different type of eclipse, but 5 years ago, and it was during the school day, we bought the glasses and took the kids outside.
We did.
Go ahead.
I don't know.
Joe Basinger let it up.
I mean,
The
it'd
ozone has
be
changed
really
since
cool if it was like at 9 or 10 in the morning. It's just that the time that it is, it's just so inconvenient.
That was a good one, Alice. He said you just dispose of them in your. We got some comedians in the audience today.
Danny, I figured out.
April 8th and Canadian Haze, the only other new business these days. The August meeting dates, yeah, I lost my train of thought. Can we possibly change that? I know we changed, well. The concern is we may not have a quorum that day. There's a few members that cannot make it, myself included, and I was wondering what like August 29th look like. Can we go that long? Is there anything urgent that would need to happen before that? You guys want to look at a morning? It's up. I kind of want to stay away from the first week of school, just so you guys.
Just set the time for the 29th, and if that's something that comes up, just do an emergency.
Right,
Yeah.
that's true. Good idea.
I mean, do you need us before the school year starts?
Of course I need the board, but I mean, you're always available, and if we need to get together as in a formal meeting, like Mr. Welch has said, we can always call for a special meeting.
Okay,
And you know, should something pop.
okay. 29th works for me.
Does that work?
Yeah.
29? We'll keep it on there, we'll put on there 29th, and then when thing comes up. Jen, you can do Jen.
Really got October 2nd.
Oh, that'd be, well, I'm sure we'll have a great farewell to you, CFO Gallant.
They'll be here the next day.
That's right.
So then we get back on track September 19th on the third Tuesday. That sounds okay. Did we already adjust? The only other one we wanted to possibly adjust on, if you guys want to do it now, but something to think about, this would be under the new business like forward thinking. Forward thought, the one that's in November is on a Tuesday night and there's no school Wednesday, so a lot of people might be headed out of town for Thanksgiving, so that's probably not a good,
Oh, it's Tuesday, Thanksgiving week?
yeah, that's a
I
bad.
didn't want to do it the week before because it's
OSB.
OSBA, and then the week before that is election,
Right. So
and I will be on the weekend.
unless we could do Monday the 20th or Tuesday morning,
I could do either one of those.
doesn't matter to me.
Whatever.
Want to talk about it in our next meeting?
Whatever.
Is there a 28th? Oh,
The 23rd is Thanksgiving.
We'll be back on Tuesday, the 28th, right?
Yeah. Too far apart.
I will not be there on the 28th.
We'll be at the all-inclusive this year.
We'll be having all-inclusive resort.
Okay, so.
I think the 20th would work fine for
Do
me.
the 20th,
Sure,
5:45,
That works.
whether it's light or dark or snowing or not.
sure.
Gina, will you send out those adjustments?
She already
and
sent
invite-
one,
Oh,
so.
you did? Oh, boy. Okay, got it. Okay,
November 20th.
Already changed them.
on Monday night. Okay. All right. Any other new business or correspondence and announcements? Anyone? Gina, has anyone signed in for public
No,
participation?
we have not.
Who's got to ask? Then I do I have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Welch,
Yes.
Mrs. Foley,
Yes.
Mr. Whiting,
Yes.
Mr. Chester.
Yes.
Oh, now it pulls up.